down to 5 or 10 minutes. Hi, welcome to Ghost Talk. My name is Harold St. John, founder of Toledo Ghost Hunters. We have a special guest tonight. If you've been watching the last few sections of Ghost Talk, you know that Butch has been downhill. We have TOGHS founder Butch Leon with us tonight. Welcome to the show, Butch.
Hey,
Nice
glad to be here.
Glad you're feeling better. Hey, tonight Butch and I got a kind of a special show that we're going to talk about, we're going to get into. But I'd first like to talk about a couple of things that's going on with TOGHS. I want to remind everybody to visit us on our website at www.toghs.org. We got a lot of new things going on there. If you have a problem or a haunting, or you feel that you need us in some way, there's several different ways you can get a hold of us. First would be by email at thetogsteam@gmail.com. Reach out if it's an emergency and you feel that you need us. You can see on the monitor. I hope you can see it. 734-224-0003. Many ways to get a hold of us. And obviously you know how to get a hold of us through Facebook because you're here tonight. Butch, you and I talked earlier in the week. What you have here, and I don't know if I'm bragging or not because it goes to show you how old we are, but between the two of us, you're talking 70, 80 years of paranormal investigating, close to 40 years each. That's a lot of ghost hunting. TOGHS was formed probably, what, 1999, I think we started talking about doing this.
Somewhere around that area.
Butch and I were long friends and we knew each other for years previous to this. And I don't know how ghosts got brought up or something about a haunting, and Butch and I got into a conversation, and I didn't realize that he was a paranormal investigator and I was running another group just previous to that. So we had formed this group. I want to talk a little bit about our earlier days when we first got together. There was a lot of funny things, and we're a couple of old school investigators, and we use some basic equipment. You know, they have bell meters now and spirit boxes. We basically went in with a couple of cassette recorders, a still camera, and a video camera. I was once told by a good friend of mine, and Butch kind of is the same way, if the place is haunted and the ghosts want to talk, they're going to talk to you. You didn't need all that other stuff. And I can remember a time I was unloading all my equipment out of a van, and I was told, I was asked first, what are you doing? I said, well, I got this to do this, and I have this piece of equipment. I'm going to catch some energy here, some electromagnetic fields here. And he goes, Jesus, Harold, you're going to scare the ghost is what you're going to do. And it was a valuable lesson. So do you remember some of our very first trips? You and I had drove down to Custer, Ohio. It was, at that time, it was Lot 1 and Lot 2. Which was kind of strange because it wasn't like we're going to do this store or that shop or have a name. It was Lot 1 and Lot 2. When we got down there, Lot 1 was a slaughterhouse and Lot 2 was the funeral home. Why don't you share with us that evening? We had taken our photographer, Fred, and we'll share that quick story with him. Not to embarrass Fred by any means, but it's kind of a funny story. Tell us a little bit about that case in Custer, Ohio.
When we first got there, I got out of the car and I looked at the place. It was kind of huge. And I looked up and I sort of seen a little girl sneaking out, looking out the open back of draped, and there she is looking down at us.
From a second floor window.
From the second floor window. I said, this is going to be an interesting night.
Well, first of all, I turned around to our client, a nice lady. I won't share her name tonight. But remember, I had asked her, I said, listen, we don't allow children on site when we're doing investigating. And she didn't have any idea what we were talking about, and assured us there was nobody in the building. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because she had two of her grandkids staying there along with her son. And she says, well, they're all gone. And I said, okay, that's great. So we get in there and we take a little tour of the place. We start setting up our stuff and this and that. And this little girl, through the whole night, started playing tag with us.
Yeah, hide and seek.
Hide and seek. He'd go one place, go another place. And Fred, the photographer, all of a sudden he says we're gonna put him somewhere.
Yeah, we locked him up in one of the meat lockers.
Yep.
Down in the cellar or something for. We were short staffed that
Yep.
night, and we said that we were going to use him to do an EVP. His very first EVP session ever, and he had worked with us and taken pictures. He was
Right.
a great photographer. Tell him what happened. We locked him in that dark room.
Put him in there, and he starts asking questions and this and that. And he says, "Is there anybody in here like a little girl and this and that?" And I don't quite remember exactly what that little girl said back to him, but she said,
I think it was Hi Fred.
yeah, said, "Hi, Fred," and he opened that door when ran out of there and sat in the car the rest of the night,
Right.
and that was it.
And that was what 15 years ago. And
Yeah.
He's never, just two buddies hanging out, speaking with dead people as often as we could. Since then, we've done some pretty good cases. I can remember a time, I want to say maybe back in 2000, it was shortly after that, you and I and Jeff had made a road trip, which we did every summer. We had went down to Athens, Ohio. We stopped at the Moonville Tunnel, which we just did a couple of weeks ago, the Moonville Cemetery, and we went down to the OU campus, and we investigated the asylum, the tuberculosis ward, and other things on the campus. We had finished those up early one day, and I remember we got in the car, and back in them days, you and I had a lot more energy. And it was probably, I don't know, noon or something, and we had gotten up early to do the investigation. This is like our third day into the trip. We weren't quite done yet, and I remember us getting in the car, and I said, "Well, we're done early. What do we do now?" And you had taken us somewhere, and it was like out of the blue. Do you remember that day? And we wanted to Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Yeah, I don't remember where we went, but actually, I think we visited 3 places in that day.
Probably.
And we went down to Mount Pleasant, West Virginia, went over the bridge, the one that actually collapsed back in
The Silver Bridge.
in 1967. It's been redone in whatever, and we get into the town, and I says, this intuition from one thing or another, I says, let's take a left here.
Right.
And I took the left, and there and behold, here is this big statue, the Mothman.
It dumped us right in the center of town. It was like we were drawn in there. And what a coincidence was that day. As we pulled in there, we stopped, remember, we got our pictures taken in front of the statue, which was really cool. And the Mothman's always intrigued me. Ever since I was a kid, I've heard things since, I think the first sighting was in 1965 in November. There was 5 grave diggers digging in a little town not far from Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And they saw this huge bat-like creature flying over. It scared the heck out of them. And shortly after that, within a couple of days, down by the TNT bunkers,
right,
which we'll talk about, because when we got into that day, we were lucky enough that we were able to visit them. There was 2 separate couples that night. They were parked down by the TNT bunkers, and they were kind of like where young teenagers park to make out or whatever, like a lover's lane type thing.
Right.
And they were sitting in the car, and this big bat-like creature, dark shadowy figure with red eyes, stood in front of their car. It scared them to death. They started the car and took off, and as they were driving into the police station to make a report, they were petrified. This bat-like creature followed them right next to their car. And these were some of the very early sightings. So anyways, this thing that we're talking about, once we got out, we got our pictures taken with it, because that in itself was kind of cool to get our pictures taken with it. But tell us the real strange coincidence. What was going on in Point Pleasant, West Virginia that day?
Get the picture taken, go walk up to the traffic light, take a left, and here they have a festival that day.
Yeah, they have a festival once a year. And just by a strange coincidence, it was Mothman Day down there. People from all over the place were gathered, and they do. And every year I don't know if they kind of honor him, but it's a big thing in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So we went into the museum. We met a guy named Bob. And, you talk about some of these smaller towns. Butch and I have been to places where people just aren't that friendly, and especially like today. And no offense, but like Ohio University, 15, 20 years ago is much different as well. You go down there today and you even remotely ask if something is haunted, or could you have a mission to get into somewhere, and they'll escort you right off the campus. Basically, they want no signs or symbols of a haunting at all. This was quite different. When we got in there and met Bob, we had heard about the TNT bunkers. These were over 100 bunkers back in during World War II, where they kept your ammunition and explosives. They were quite dangerous. I mean, obviously they were gutted by then. And a big factory where they made all this stuff. The factory was torn down by then. But you would think that all that, and it was fenced off, and it was set way back into the woods, and you would think that nobody would be allowed. Share with our audience what happened that day when we met Bob.
Yeah, and actually, when he says, I actually can draw you a little map, show you how to get there, and to get into these bunkers. It's actually down a lane alongside of a little pond, and this, that, and everything else. And he sure did. He was the friendliest man you ever wanted to meet.
Yeah,
he was more than accommodating.
He got out a piece of paper, if you remember, and he drew us a map and said, this is bunker 1, bunker 2, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, now listen, if you guys wait about a half an hour, bunker 1 and bunker 7 or whatever it was, bunker 27, these bunkers will be unlocked. And the big gates that go in and block these were, I don't know if they were roads, but they're basically paths. They had big iron gates in front of them. They said, give it about a half an hour, and that gate will be unlocked. And you guys have fun now, but make sure you don't get in any trouble back there. And we must have went and got a cup of coffee or something. But we were beeline into those bunkers. Go ahead.
Gave us the route number to take, which road, and
Here's the statue.
There's the statue.
So we went in, and I'll talk more about the Mothman in particular, but I'm doing a slideshow. This is Butch standing in front of the Mothman, if you can see it, when we went downtown. This is the legend, and I can kind of read this, but I basically said in November 1966, 2 young couples drove to the TNT area. I told you kind of about that, and they went in and made a report on that. The thing was, the whole town was in an uproar. And then other people began to see this creature, at different times and through the town. This is the scene of the bunker, and I have a picture of me in the bunker. And this is what a bunker looks like, if you can see it. Big iron doors. It's a bunker, just like it says. It's built right into the side of a hill or a mountain. Once you get in there, like we did, catacombs are dark, tunnels are dark, but a bunker is quite unique. Once you get into a bunker, this dome, and the doors are shut, you can't see 2 inches in front of your face. And we went in there with a couple of night vision cameras. And I think Jeff was with us.
Jeff was with us.
And we get back. Do you remember? I think it was bunker 3. I don't remember the number, but all the years and all the things that we've done. We can sit here and brag that we never get scared. We're never afraid. The old saying, ghost hunters, where Brian got fired for so he thought he saw something. Run, dude, run. We don't do things like that. But I know you're dying and itching to tell this short story. We were in this one bunker. If you guys can remember some of the 3D paintings that people do on the streets or in murals on the wall, and I picture this as on something that you've seen on a road. It has a hole in the road. And it looks like you're going to fall in. Well, somebody did the same thing, and believe me, they were an artist. They did it on one of the inside of the bunkers of the Mothman, and it was probably a 7-foot Mothman. And I'll show you another slide. It might be here. I was panning. There it is. I was panning with a static night vision camera, panning around it, and I couldn't see you standing this close to me. I couldn't see you at all. I had no idea where you were. And I'm panning. The only thing, and I could see this well because of the camera. And I panned the camera around, and I thought it was you at first. And when I panned back around, it was the Mothman. He was in the bunker with me.
Yeah, he about knocked me over running.
I didn't say dude run, but I did yell Butch. It startled me. I don't know what I call that, fear. Okay, it was fear, probably. It was fear. But it did. It scared the heck out of me. But we had a great day that day.
Yeah.
Down there in Point Pleasant.
Once we did put a regular flashlight on that thing was amazing. I mean, whoever did it,
they
did a great job on it.
It made it look like it was the Mothman. I don't know. Is there another slide on this one? As I'm going through, I'll go through one more. Anyways, I guess the whole thing about this Mothman, it's been seen several times. I made some notes that I can go over. Besides the first sightings,
I think it was at the Twin Towers.
They said it was at the Twin Towers. It was at different places, of different disasters.
I think there was one
over
over
in here as well.
Japan.
Yeah, right here, it talks about, for example, Mothman was sighted in Mexico City in 1985, right before the big earthquake. There were also sightings in Chernobyl in 1986, right before the big nuclear disaster. Some claim that the Mothman was in western Pennsylvania right before the plane crash in September 2001. So, here's the thing, Butch and I, and TOGHS is now doing this urban legends, paranormal fact or fiction whole thing. Is the Mothman real? Is it centered around disasters or impending dooms? We don't really have any of the answers. I know this is the Silver Bridge, December 15th, 1967. Just for 3 or 4 weeks, the Mothman was showing himself in Point Pleasant, the same town, the same bunkers that he was first sighted in. The Silver Bridge collapsed. It's on the Ohio Kentucky River. That bridge collapsed the night of December 15th, killing 46 people. And there was reports that the Mothman was seen that night as well. I mean, is this true? I don't know. But a lot of people have linked paranormal activity or disasters to the Mothman. I don't know. I guess, it's like last week when we talked about black-eyed children. I invite our fans, if they've had an encounter with, black-eyed children of any kind, but especially the Mothman. I've always been intrigued by the Mothman. Richard Gere put a movie together. Well, there was a book out first, and then Richard Gere was in a movie called The Mothman Prophecies. And when I watched that movie, I knew someday I would be down at Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I would like to go back there, actually. So, Mothman's like anything else. It's like, like I said before, it's like Bigfoot. Are these things real? I don't know. I mean, people have seen them, and they're very reputable people that have seen these doctors, lawyers, writers, just very respected people in their field have saw these things, and they believe them to be real. Mothman, 7 feet tall, dark shadowy figure, red eyes. Jake, do we have any comments going on? I invite anybody, if you have seen the Mothman, give us a shout, say something to us. Butch and I would like to know. So, anyways, that day, do I have another slide here, Jake, after this? One more? Yeah, there's some of the Silver Street Bridge mysterious Mothman still at large. I don't know when the last sighting of this creature was, but every once in a while, a couple of times a year, you'll hear it pop up. I really don't know what it is. If you watch the Mothman Prophecies, Richard Gere was married to a lady, and it was a strange story. I mean, is there some mental telepathy involved in this? Is there much more than meets the eye? It's not really a haunting, so to speak. It's not like somebody's home is haunted, and somebody calls you and says, "Listen, I'm hearing noises at night, doors are opening." This is quite different. But what would you do if we encountered something like this? I don't know. That day, you and I went down there with hopes of encountering. I don't think we didn't capture any EVPs. I don't believe that, after we got past the Mothman in the bunker.
I think Chief Cornstalk had something to do with that.
And there is some other things about Point Pleasant, West Virginia, just like you said, that the curse of Cornstalk, Chief Cornstalk, 200-year curse, which ended, I think, 2 years ago.
Yep.
So apparently the city's no longer cursed. But are these things linked? Is the Mothman linked to paranormal activity? Was the collapsing of the bridge that killed 46 people right before Christmas? What a horrible story. Did Mothman have something to do with that? Did he do it? Was he just simply warning people? Did we not read the signs? Did we not, look at the symbols of what he was saying? Was it something to do with Chief Cornstalk? And I can't imagine Chief Cornstalk sending some moth-like creature to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, but it could be. And like you said, Pennsylvania was New York City the day of 9/11. They said that maybe they saw it as well. You can see here. So many photos could be superimposed now, but they blew that up. And is that the Mothman that was on the bridge? A couple of days before the collapse. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. There's many stories over the internet about that. Anyways, that was one of our really early investigations. We had a great time that day as well, but we had a great time that whole weekend as we were traveling around doing this. So, like anything else, Bigfoot, chupacabras, I don't know. You and I we tend to stick with real ghosts. a couple of other things. If you want to comment about the Mothman, you're more welcome to. Butch and I have some things going on, and we got about 10 minutes left there, Jake. We're gonna go about 5 more minutes, and then we'll end tonight's show. So if you do want to make a comment, you jump in at us, okay? If you've got something to say or you got a question that you'd like to give to Butch. We got a couple things going on in the works here. It's not quite the Mothman thing. You and I, along with Becky and I believe Jeff a couple of weeks ago, did an investigation in downtown an historical building in downtown Sabina. We won't give away the address or the names of anybody, but you and I were going over some. We were analyzing some of the evidence a couple of weeks ago, and we captured quite an EVP that we're going to share with the client hopefully in the next week or two. We gave her a call, so we're waiting for her to return a call. Those are the types of things that you and I go after. Voices, bumps in the night, if there's a real haunting. And Butch had captured what I believe, and hopefully once we get this all done, and we'll be able to share with you guys as well, captured the Class A EVP. We had this camera set up in a room, and it ran for about 57 minutes, and then a young lady had jumped in and it said hello to us. This, like I say, is much different than the Mothman haunting. These are real things, so I can't wait for us to do that. We're going to go back a week from Saturday to another local place. Unfortunately, it's a disclosed location. They need their privacy, but we captured another EVP there as well, so we're going to go back and try to do some recreating and stuff. Jake is our guy that runs the camera here, is behind our scenes, is figured out a way for us to do some live streaming during our investigation. So we got some exciting things coming up this spring as well. We're going to start live streaming some of our investigations, maybe at the tops of the hours, and see how you guys like that. Maybe you can join us for some of our investigations that we're doing. So what else is going on, Butch? How you feeling? You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good. Butch is back with us now. So we got some other things going on, some ideas you and I are kicking around. We got our first story, which I think is going to be probably chapter 12 or chapter 13 in the book. We got that done and complete. Our editor chewed it up and chopped it up a little bit and sent it back to us. A great story from a cabin down in Gloucester Wild. That was another great. Here's the funny thing. All these years between you and I, every investigation has been different, and some we remember more than others. And that Gloucester cabin was kind of a remarkable place as well. You talk about all these hauntings, which we've been doing on our shows the last couple of weeks. You got the black-eyed children. They're not really from a haunted house. You got the Mothman. You got the Gloucester cabin too, which involves a little bit of psychic energy and maybe a little mental telepathy, where you're not actually recording these people on our machinery, but you're sensing them and feeling them, and you just know that they're there, type of thing. So we got our first story, and I'm really proud of the story. I'm really excited about this book. Hopefully coming out. We're working on a title for the book, but the Gloucester Ghost is going to be one of the stories in there, and hopefully we can share some of that with you guys as soon as this book gets out. We have another couple of PowerPoint lectures set up coming up this coming season, so we're going to be really busy in September and October. So we got a couple things in the works. So anyways, I wanted to have Butch come back. Butch wanted to be here a couple weeks ago, but he hasn't been feeling well. So, and I couldn't wait to have Butch on the show. So I was really excited about tonight. And Butch and I wanted to talk about something that one of the very first investigations early on in our career together that we did. And Mothman seemed like a perfect fit. And then, like I said, like you said, the most amazing thing about that was we were out on a tour and we weren't really thinking about the Mothman. We just kind of went for a ride and boom, was dumped right into and we were part of the festivities, so to speak.
Yep.
We were right part. I can remember
they were crowning queen and the whole
yeah.
whole 9 yards.
Well, I remember that weekend. I decided right then and there that I was going to vote for Mothman for president. Do you have anything there, Jake?
Yeah, Mike asks, how much of the Mothman movie is real?
Here's the thing, it's a movie, so it's entertainment. Everything I've read and everything I've researched, there's a measure of truth to that. The strange things in the movie, like the Mothman or something was calling Richard Gere, mocking his wife. I think Richard Gere he was in the movie, he was talking to a police officer and thought he even saw his wife. There was a lot of things like going on there in the Legend of Mothman as well. So I think some of it was true, some of it was entertaining. in the movie, obviously, the Silver Bridge collapsed on December 15th, killing 46 people. Those were real documented events. I mean, were all in all the newspapers. Mothman was very real. These sightings were real as well. I mean, if you go back, I can't remember the name of the newspaper at Point Pleasant, West Virginia, but I'm sure you can Google that. The morning after that first sighting at the TNT bunkers, you got to remember, this young couple didn't run home and tell their mom and dad. They didn't run home and tell their friends. They flew as fast as they could to the police station. They were scared to death. There was an actual police report. It's all public knowledge. There was an actual police report that was given and documented. The police went out and investigated. There were several calls for several days after that where, I mean, is it mass hallucination? Is it mass hysteria? I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of that. But I think the movie touched on something. That the Mothman was something that real people, real respected people saw. And they reported it. We have another question?
Yeah, Chad asks, are there any references to Mothman or something similar globally, or is it just a North American phenomenon?
No, it's no. Go ahead.
I think there has also been a Mothman sighting in Japan, and I think India.
I read one about it in India too.
Yeah.
So it's international. I think the funny thing is, isn't it? The Mothman sightings come in groupings. You'll hear a lot about it. Sometimes even spread over internationally, and then it seems to go away for a while. Would I like to see the Mothman? Yeah, I think it would really be cool. But is it a warning or a sign of impending doom? Maybe I don't want to see it. But yeah, it's international. I've seen it in other countries as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike asks, when you went down there, did you meet anyone who said they really saw the Mothman?
Bob from the museum said that he didn't firsthand see it, and that day there was a lot of stuff going on. And remember the one lady, I think one lady might have passed away. The young couple that first saw it back in 1965. There was one lady that was still alive, but I don't know why she wasn't available that day. Bob runs a museum. He is good friends with the people that actually saw this and filed the reports. So no, we didn't get this.
I think he said she was in a nursing home.
Yeah, there's something that we couldn't speak to her that day. Something was going on because we did want to talk to her. Now, Bob is a leading expert on the Mothman. He runs the Mothman Museum down in Point Pleasant. A great guy. If you're ever down there, you really want to stop in and check out this museum. He has spent his entire adulthood documenting, researching, and putting artifacts together and came up with a museum. And he did know these people personally. He had talked to them hundreds of times. That I don't think two young kids are that first of all shouldn't have been down at the TNT bunkers. I mean, you got to think this is mid-60s. You're not going to go and tell your mom, I was at Lover's Lane with so and so. They were afraid. They went to the police station.
So these bunkers are out in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Anyways, that's a great question. So we're going to be on the show tonight. We're going to come back with another show next weekend. We're trying to create some things. Here's what Butch and I want you to do this week. While you're visiting our Facebook or if you're on our website or something, what interests you guys? What type of hauntings or what type of paranormal phenomenon are you interested in? There's so many things, from Bigfoot to Mothman to creatures to actual hauntings. We want to hear from you. We want to do a part of the show. We got some other great things coming up on the show. Ian Albert from the Maxwell Haunting is going to come on in the next couple of weeks. This is a house that we did, and we're going to talk about this on one of the shows. I don't think it was demonic by any means, but there were some negative things going on there. We did some recreation. It was a great investigation. We walked away with a lot of evidence. And Ian, I just talked to him a couple of days ago. He said after 5 years, the house has finally quieted down. This goes back to the walls seeping and claw marks on the walls, and what a really interesting case. And we're going to have Ian on our show. We're going to talk to him and interview him about that. That's going to be a tremendous show. I really think that you guys should all join us then. We have another couple of shows where we're going to do urban legends, and the last couple of weeks, Black-Eyed Children, Mothman, they were kind of urban legends, paranormal fact or fiction.
We could probably do one on different type of hauntings.
Yeah, so I think we should do a show where Butch and I can come on and we'll talk about maybe our 5 creepiest investigations, and maybe we can tell our fans, we'll tell our fans, bring your headphones that night and we'll play some of the EVPs and stuff, and we'll walk away with that. So anyways, thanks for joining us here again on Ghost Talk. Thanks for writing in your comments, and we'll see you right back here next Wednesday. And thanks to Butch Leon here for joining us tonight. Take care.
And hope you enjoyed the show.
Happy hauntings.